cost of an Americano has changed from 65 to 165. Yeah. Fitness still sits at below 2,000 rupees. India's #1 premier boys boarding school, 30% child obesity. And they had butter chicken on the lunch menu. If you want to look good, you have to feel good. There is no shortcut in it. No matter how expensive the clothes you wear, everywhere the cost of access to a club, studio or a gym membership invariably moves in line or ahead of inflation because of other costs. We are the only country where it has been behind inflation, practically minus 2% a year.
So today in our studio at Xplore, we have a very esteemed guest, a veteran in fitness industry and a very big enthusiast of fitness and technologies. He's been at forefront of bringing some of the best brands to India and I've known him almost for many years. I would like to welcome Vikram
Thank you for having me.
Studios.
Thank you very much. Quite excited to be here. Quite an amazing setup
you
you
so
have.
much. This is our new setup that we've just started.
Unique and very ingenuine to me. Really like it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, I'm glad. I'm really happy that you took time out to come here and spend time with us.
Back in Pune after a few decades.
Oh. Yeah. So you're coming to Pune almost after 30 years.
Yes, correct.
Tell me about how you came to Pune and what was the history behind it.
In my young days, I used to play competitive tennis, and some of the best training used to happen in Pune in those days.
Wow.
So if I really look at it, people who aspired to go international practically had to move from Delhi to either Pune or Chennai and train with some of the stalwarts who lived here. And they're still here actually, and train under them and come and be part of the competitive circuit in Maharashtra or in Tamil Nadu. That's how.
You played at national level?
Yeah, I played competitive level. I've played in the Masters. I've traveled the whole of the country and many parts of the world thanks to my tennis. And so from a very young age, I've been involved with sports. And actually my exposure to tennis in the US led me to fitness.
Okay.
You know, it's great to be in America on a scholarship, being some of the best in India. But then when you get there, you realize you're actually nowhere near the level of fitness of people coming from South America, Eastern Europe, or in the US. And that's what led the curiosity into fitness. And eventually in 1995, 96, I decided not to pursue postgraduate education. I'm an economics graduate and a law and an MBA dropout. And I decided that, look, I'm going to become an entrepreneur in the fitness space. And it's just been a never-ending journey.
It's quite a decision. I'm sure you must have faced some challenges from your family.
I come from a background of professionals. My mother is a doctor and a surgeon. My sister is a doctor. You know, every parent aspires for the son to take over their profession. I just said that I'm doing it in another way, invariably affecting people's lives in a very different way, in a self-care way, educating people about. So it was an interesting start. It was a start when, in the good old days, in the analog days of fitness, the thing to talk about was motorized treadmill and air-conditioned gym. And now we've come from that to a completely different world.
Yeah, completely automated world.
Where the proposition is more about what unique thing you're offering and what's the latest that is there. And it's changing quite rapidly. I've seen a lot of technology outside, which is quite impressive. You know, you're actually creating, changing the way of linear training into non-linear training, which also is, I guess, another way of training.
I'm glad you used the word linear training. We are nowhere any close to linear. If you're living a life basically which is outdoors, or if you're doing certain activities which is non-linear.
Well, hybrid.
Why to use a equipment or technology which is linear?
The key words are hybrid, non-linear, and hyphenated. So invariably everybody is living a life.
Two more terms to add: unstable. And unpredictable.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't ask how much it costs. Just get on with it. Fitness costs less than medical.
I'm sure you're not going to ask me how much it costs.
No, I'm not, because at the end of the day, you can't always start with 50% discount on everything. There is if people think self-care is expensive, wait till you get a medical bill. And unfortunately, we are not in that space right now.
Absolutely.
But I'll share a very interesting story. In 2008, when we launched the first large format club India had ever seen with an international brand, Fitness First, we actually had to convince people why join a gym. And we had to tell them it's only 80 rupees a day. whereas a bypass surgery is 2.5 to 3 lakh rupees. We actually had a campaign which said fitness 80 rupees a day to 95 rupees a day, depending on what all you included.
Bypass is no longer 2.5 lakhs, it's more than 20 lakhs.
Yeah, 2.5 lakh rupees was the entry point of getting 2 stents and then moving on from there. So we actually had to create a fear psychosis to get people into a gym. Today that problem fortunately is not there. Of course, we have to thank Bollywood, cricket and COVID for that. They've just made it very fashionable to be fit, and everybody aspires to be fit. And of course, with the education and advent of the internet, everybody who wants to feel good also wants to look good.
Trust me, in our medical devices division where we offer Cardiac Sense, one of the products as a patient monitoring device, wearable, we see patients day in, day out with such suffering. It's just unimaginable. Going preventive, taking care of our own self in early days and even late days as well is very, very important. Hence, basically, you come from a family of doctors and then you took up a career in fitness, which is very preventive and, taking care of your own self.
Oh, yeah.
It can't be anything more noble than this, actually.
I don't know if you saw that there was an interview in which Warren Buffett was asked, why do you like the Apple phone so much? And he predicted when the Apple phone was for $500 that one day this will be at $1,000 to $2,000, and I still think it's going to be cheap.
Yeah.
Because he said that the real estate that the Apple phone occupies is very valuable. Mm-hmm. And now people are talking about, including people who are into longevity and biohacking, that the most expensive and the most important real estate that can never be replaced is your body. And you have to invest in it now, not when it's too late, but you have to invest in it when you can. And that's when you have less risk of injury and less of an uphill curve. And that invariably is between the age of 25 to 35. If you don't get started, it gets more and more difficult. More and more difficult.
Absolutely.
And expensive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to come to your biohacking and the new projects that you started in London a little later.
Yeah.
I want to start with asking you about your life journey in terms of when you started off in the fitness vertical. Just tell us about your life journey so far.
So I set up a club because I couldn't find a place to train with a large number of people or share what I knew in training. Though I had close to about 1,000 square feet in my house on my terrace, which grew organically into a gym with friends coming, training with me or training themselves at my place. And I kept on adding to it and kept on helping friends, or at that time the HNIs to put some kind of a gym together in their house. In those days it was invariably police systems. There was nothing known as functional training or endurance training. It was either walk, run outdoors or have a police system at home, etc. So that kind of led me to say, okay, I want to start a gym. And in that I practically did a lot of research. This is pre World Wide Web days, or early stages of the World Wide Web days, and I came across many operators outside of India, but nobody wanted to come to India because everybody felt in the late 90s it was too early for India. Secondly, we didn't have organized real estate. Secondly, we didn't have any payment gateways or a billing system or an auto debit system that existed, and everybody knew that the awareness was very low. Fitness sat in those days in the 5-star hotels. That's where it was. It wasn't
96, 97?
96, 97. It wasn't even in mainstream sports of hockey or cricket, or Bollywood. Means, yes, you had Sanjay Dutt and Salman Khan, but that's about it. Then suddenly things started changing.
That's where the trend started.
But that was still bodybuilding days. I was still only barbells and kettlebells, barbells and dumbbells. It wasn't really what you call holistic fitness as we see it now. So that kind of led me to start a club in Delhi with 2 friends. It became very successful in a very short time. It became overcrowded. We underestimated the ability to put something and programmed well as to how popular it will be. And we decided then to increase the size of the club by relocating it. But during that process, because of unorganized retail and very naive about the real estate market, many things happened that led me to say, okay, fine, let's look at what can I do in this space outside of India where capital and real estate are not the constraint. And that's how I joined an organization called Fitness First. And I moved bag and baggage, practically just got up and left with 1 suit carrier and said, let's see where this goes. And I moved to Southeast Asia, started working with Fitness First that was just about starting their first wave of clubs in Southeast Asia.
Wow.
So you can imagine being part of a team that went from 0 to 100 clubs in a matter of 7-8 years.
Seen the whole
pioneered
cycle,
the industry from an analog street level selling with leaflets and knock dialing. In those days, you practically just dialed a number and asked somebody to come to the gym. It was in those days, and creating large format clubs. We were creating group exercise studios never seen in Southeast Asia, 2,500-3,000 square feet studios inside a 20,000 square feet box, creating a network of clubs. Nobody would have thought that Bangkok could have 45 clubs from one operator, average size 20,000 square feet.
Wow. Just Bangkok?
Just Bangkok alone. Wow. And now we have a competitor who has the same number of clubs and a luxury operator who has half the number of clubs. So just Bangkok alone has about 1 million square feet of fitness just in Metro Bangkok. We're nowhere near that in India. Wow. So to see that work in developing new markets, got to learn real estate, got to learn city archetype, got to learn the consumer very differently in many markets. So to understand 6-7 different non-English speaking with native language countries, and then get the opportunity to go to the next frontier, which was the Middle East and North Africa from Dubai. So I've kind of always been first in, last out. Started an organization with employee number 1, ended up at 800 in a very short time. Yeah. So I've been doing that repeatedly. My last overseas stint was in Dubai when we started Fitness First there. Today is the number 1 operator in that market with 40 plus clubs.
Absolutely.
We actually had to convince Sultan bin Sulaim, who was the chairman of Nakheel. He said, tell me in 2 minutes, why should I give space to a gym in a mall? It was Ibn Battuta Mall. And there was no gym in a mall in those days in Dubai. Today, every mall has 2 gyms.
2 gyms,
There were 0 gyms there. This is pre-Burj Khalifa days. And we said everybody has Nescafe at home, yet they go to a Starbucks.
Yeah.
That was it. And that's why he said, okay, you know what? I'm willing to give you space because you seem to know what you're talking about. You were able to see where the customer is going. And we ended up building the first club, large format club in Dubai, which was extremely successful. It is a real estate play. It is very important to have a very clear proposition. Fitness First as a business has grown as a brand also. It has had 3 iterations and 5 capital cycles from a listed company to private holdings to management buyouts and multiple different private equities. But as a product to customers.
This was in Europe.
The whole globe has gone through as a company-owned business. We never franchised as a company-owned business. It has been through many capital cycles. But as a business, it's always been from anybody to everybody for anything and everything. It actually became and evolved as the customer did to what people want and how to help people go further. So that's been a great journey. 2008, the journey started in India. We've had close to about 11-12 clubs in a short time. And from 2014, got involved with the global business, looking at many markets. So the exposure has been tremendous. We sold the business in India in 2018. Post that, we have been involved in many different advisory roles, from public-private policy to actually helping loss-making businesses to become profitable in the studio space in many markets, to helping people design for the future rather than just box. So that's been the journey. Not many people know this, but you'll find this as an interesting fact. I traveled to close to about 102 addresses in 1 year, from LA to Singapore and everything in between, all in a matter of 12 months. Post-COVID, just to see and meet owners and operators of different businesses who have come out post-COVID with an absolute bloodbath of digital to no digital to hybrid to digital must-have, and where we sit now with the advent of the next disruption is AI and what's that going to do to the fitness industry. So seen a lot, from purely fitness to biohacking to longevity to recovery, onto a whole new chapter now.
Yeah, coming to the whole new chapter, which is, you're calling it Drive?
Yeah, so now I'm the CEO of a business called DriveFITT. For the first time in the world, somebody outside of India has thought of it, unfortunately nobody in India, where they said, let's bring cricket and fitness together. Why is it not coexisting in a place like India?
That was such a huge market for cricket.
That was the initial thought of a gentleman called Mark Seller. And he wanted to do this pre-COVID, but he was not able to do it because of COVID. So then post-COVID, when he said he felt things have settled down and we are post-COVID effects are over, at the economy level and at the discretionary spend level. So he brought this venture to life last year in July, and he got on board India's vice captain Shubman Gill and India's #1 sports entrepreneur and co-owner of Kings 11, Preeti Zinta as co-founders, and they put together a business called DriveFITT. DriveFITT basically is a sport business, the sport of cricket, the stroke play of batting and bowling in individual capacity, alone to a machine or yourself, or in a small group. It also has 3 formats of fitness and 4 modalities of recovery, and building a community around it. And underlining all that is to bring running also indoors. Okay. Not many people know this, that 2 important data facts. Over 2 billion people play cricket in the world. Yeah. But while they play a lot on the field, a lot of them spend a lot of time practicing in the nets to play better on the field, just like golf. Yeah. So we're trying to build that market. That look, come in, practice, and we teach you to practice better, teach you the stroke play, and at the same time train you for it, because it has become a physical sport.
India has been a place for cricket lovers, so there's no...
Yeah, and I think all the cricket native countries are also a great market for this. Yeah. Then, of course, the fastest growing sport after all this in India is actually running. There has been an exponential increase in people's interest, curiosity in running, participation in running events, the amount of races that have started in India, and not just in India, all over the world, because there is no barrier to it. But there is a big challenge, just like there was a challenge in playing cricket and putting a game together, there's a big challenge in running, because our city archetypes are such that we don't have fields, tracks, and large grounds where you can actually go run. Secondly, how do you learn how to run when you've been inactive? Now you have the time and the inclination and the money to go invest in running. And running is not a cheap sport. You have to invest in apparel, shoes, nutrition. What do you do next? How do you train to run so that you don't get injured? So we decided that let's go after cricket, fitness, recovery, and underline it with running. So the first club of the concept of DriveFITT goes live in Gurgaon by July, August. It's a fairly large club, about 23,000 square feet, which will offer all these things. It is tech heavy because of the diagnostics around getting started in your fitness journey, to the diagnostics and data around playing cricket or the stroke play of cricket, or while you're running. The whole ethos really is play with purpose, train with purpose, play the sport of cricket with purpose. If you play any sport, come to us for the fitness for it, and make fitness a sport. Fitness is becoming a sport for a lot of people. So when you put all these things together, I think we will have a very interesting offering for somebody as young as 10 to somebody as old as 65 and older. Age agnostic, gender neutral, a safe environment for you to come play and create a kind of an organic community around it. So we are very excited. We've kind of created a theme around, or the labeling around our entire offering. It's Drive, Thrive, Strive, Revive, and Hive. And we will build individual identities for each one of them as we grow the network of clubs. In 2025, we will have 3 clubs by the end of 2025, ranging from 10,000 square feet being our smallest box to about 25,000 square feet being our biggest. And I think that will then set the tone for a pan-India franchising business. Of course, we're open to franchising interest now, because we feel that if somebody joins us now in the franchise network, we'll practically be building a company-owned and a franchise-owned business at the same time. And they get the benefits of economies of scale, learnings, innovation, and be first to market. So that's really where we are. So it's quite an exciting time. And that's why I'm traveling and seeing what is available in India. This is an India-first business. We would love to have more things made in India to take it outside, but there are certain limitations so that, as you know, technology, manufacturing, etc. is still a while away.
I'm quite excited with her manufacturing capabilities. We can cater to your requirements so beautifully in terms of our own.
So I think it's like there was a very interesting comment by Rajiv Bajaj recently. He said if a McDonald's, which was one outlet in America, go across 5 continents, why can't one scooter manufacturer in Pune go all across the world? That's his ethos. And I feel the same, that why can't we have quality manufacturing, precision manufacturing, engineering and electronics in India when we're actually just, doing that for other categories. It's just that this category is not looked at as an industry or the scale of it. But now I think the time has come that we are at the early stages of where we were in the good old days of F&B explosion in India.
I'm very happy to hear what you're saying in terms of one of the reasons why fitness manufacturing we looked at conservatively in terms of expansion was that the kind of equipments that we do and the kind of requirements now we see those like a player who's training for batting, the core strength comes from his lower body as well as core, right?
Yeah.
And most of the time when they're playing shots constantly in one side, depending on the strengths they have, their core wears down many times as well. And there are certain that if there is a wear out, then there is a shortened lifespan.
Yeah.
We have transverse abdominis isolation technologies. Today we'll show you that can completely change the each shot that a player can make, and a big difference it can bring to the power or to each shot.
Yeah.
The same thing happened for golfers as well.
Yeah. Look, because of the awareness of physiology, biomechanics, today a single sport or a team sport player is wanting to get more into the highest percentiles of performance.
Yeah.
But the reality is now a lot of corporate athletes train like that. Extreme lifestyle livers want the same thing.
The advent of internet and so many social media, so much of information is available.
If they can do it, why not me? Yeah. If you really want it. Yeah, but it's just that the access to all this and the barriers to it, we have prohibitive import duties. Yeah. Which very clearly make everything about 30% more expensive.
Unfortunately, still fitness is seen as luxury.
And you have GST on it. So so I think these two things unfortunately will stay. If you're taxing caramel popcorn, you have to tax access to fitness also. It's considered as a luxury.
Duties on sports products and fitness products is seen differently. It should be seen same way.
I don't think I'll be able to fight that battle, but we're definitely looking forward to creating a sport club which basically creates to a hyperlocal community. It's also the first business in the cricket economy. Today, people don't have a business in the cricket economy because the barrier to entry to an IPL league is 1,000 to 2,000 crores. Yeah. Here today, somebody in 10 to 12 crores can have a long-lasting cricket, fitness and recovery business, which on its own, just as a fitness box or just as a recovery studio might not work. Yeah. So this has a much larger future-proofing around and defensible against many single or modular siloed offerings. So we're quite excited, and yes, technology is technology has to come into diagnostics. It has to become fun and easy to access it, as well. and to absorb it and do something about it.
And most of all, the once a diagnostic is available, the interpretation of those diagnostics basically, and then helping people with designing of programs and implement them to give them the benefits that are intended, that's a very important as well. I'm sure number of years of experience you've had within and building successful businesses, getting some of the best training in the world, all that will come very handy when you get started with Drive.
No, absolutely. I think the other important thing for us is to expose the practitioners or the trainers to that they're actually professionals, and they need to start investing in their learning and development from a time perspective while we provide them the opportunity with the resources to get more qualification, because at the end of the day, the volume of people who require intervention or who require help, from an assessment to a exercise prescription, and how do you get them to train, it's how do you build a discipline is more difficult than motivation. Motivation to badi jaldi aa jati hai, badi jaldi nikal jati hai. But discipline comes from the practitioner. He is the one who keeps bringing you back, because he shows you, has the right language for incremental gains and to make you see what you're looking for.
Yesterday you made a small mention on, even before the club has started, you've started investing considerable amount 6 months prior to start in training.
Yeah.
That shows commitment to the service qualities that you are going to uphold and bring to India, something that India has not seen so far in terms of the training methodologies and the quality of staff, their preparedness to really go beyond, and excelling the service levels. I'm sure basically something great is in store for us.
Yeah, so if you want to create a brand, what is a brand? It's not the logo, it's not the celebrities or the stars involved. It's okay, what do I get? What is my experience? Is it true to what's written in English or Hindi or whatever language? That can only come to life with the people involved in it at the front line.
Yeah.
The fitness is an experience business. Technology is an enabler in it. Even if AI and 3D mapping and all that comes in, at the end of the day, the trainer has to execute it. Right. If he doesn't have exposure to technology, if he's not a practitioner of it himself, if he doesn't have the right language on how to explain it to 3-4 different types of people, he is not going to be able to be successful. Right. Then the brand cannot be. See, I'm not a brand collecting different brands of electronics, apparel, or fashion. I'm not a multi-brand outlet of different technologies or different products. I'm going to be a brand for a service. I have to invest in the people who will be delivering that service and should be consuming the proposition yourself. If not, no amount of celebrity, no amount of money, no amount of marketing spend will get people to trust you as a brand. And
give you that sustainable business.
Absolutely.
And then brand building as well.
Absolutely.
If the service is falling short.
So with the cost of marketing today, the fitness industry or the physical activity economy or the wellness market only is driven by advocacy. You will only advocate something that you experience that you've liked it from a service point of view, or you're seeing results yourself.
True.
If not, you're not going to recommend to your friend,
of course,
to your spouse, to your sibling, or to an acquaintance, yes, go here. It's same. Why do we recommend the doctor who saved your life or your father's life or your mother's life or your grandparents?
Experience.
Because you've experienced it.
Yeah.
Now that does not exist in a fitness space, because we don't see it from that level of seriousness.
True.
I'm not saying look at the gym as or a club as a hospital. It's not. It's preventive healthcare. Hospitals should look at it as their future, but they don't, because there's so much of economics in cure. Unfortunately, we are a cure-heavy country, and most of the markets.
We're dealing with hospitals, doctors, day in, day out, and frankly speaking, we see. When in the medical we will talk of preventive, we talk of only diagnostics. The real, when we go one step behind, which is to to get a person active, that elevates a person from a lot of illnesses as well, or it creates a barrier or creates a preventive shield around him that doesn't need to go into that definition of what is called as somebody's falling sick.
I'll tell you 2 very interesting stories. India's #1 premier boys boarding school has, at least in 2023 when I was engaging with them, 30% child obesity.
Wow.
And they had butter chicken on the lunch menu. And when we got down to creating a kind of a dashboard with technology and variables to let every child take control of his own physicality, no matter how young, the first thing there was a negative reaction by some parents saying, "You are fat shaming my child."
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He's too young to know all these things. Whereas that's when it should be taught. Because then that becomes a lifestyle. Not I have to be disciplined to do it. It's a lifestyle choice. Yeah. A premier hospital chain. Everybody in neuro had a much higher quotient of fitness. Everybody in cardiac were borderline obese. Very 2 different ways of operating, but the neuro guys were fitter than the cardiac guys. Yeah. So when one tried to sample it with them, we were practically shut out and said, no, not interested in knowing these things, because we are functioning very well from our economics as a outfit, organization, brand, and team. It's really that. It's not. It's sad, but we have a lot of acceptance of a lot of bad habits.
True. Yeah. We're working very closely with so many hospitals and rehabilitation centers.
Yeah.
We come across so much, and it gives me, and I'm able to see so much of scope in India that is out open, basically, that can be achieved, and fitness and as medicine, exercise as medicine has a big scope.
Industry has many structural issues. Yeah. It's the only industry in the world, considering I've been exposed to many markets, 5 continents, to be fair, to put that behind in this context. Everywhere, the cost of access to a club, studio, or a gym membership invariably moves in line or ahead of inflation because of other costs. Yeah. We are the only country where it has been behind inflation, practically minus 2% a year.
Wow.
So when you really look at it from that perspective, we are expecting that the overwhelming response or density of users will compensate for that low pricing, but it has not happened.
Because that is why it sits, low activity.
That is why it sits in a very strange limbo where it does not have very attractive returns for a larger population of the market. The majority of the supply side is completely impaired very early in their journey, within 3 to 5 years, or they don't last multiple capital cycles or leasing cycles. That is why today it practically is not even in organized retail, whereas organized retail is adding close to about, organized real estate in India is adding, from certain reports of IPCs, in excess of 80 million square feet a year. That's about 1 million new people per year are populating real estate in India. Yeah. But we are not even creating that kind of wellness stroke activity space for that new population. Forget the existing population. This doesn't take into account suburbs and high streets and district centers. I'm just talking about new build.
Long way to go.
So we have a long way to catch up, structural issues to sort out. Yeah. While there are centers of excellence in this, a lot of people are doing a great job. The only sustainable market seems to be, or a profitable market seems to be, the 5-star hotels, because they kind of amortize that real estate over a different block. But I think everybody should work together. I'm sure you will take the initiative because you're quite active in this space, and I'm the voice people don't like to hear. But everybody needs to come together and realize that, look, at the end of the day, it can't keep getting cheaper. Cost of an Americano has changed from 65 to 165. Yeah. Fitness still sits at below 2,000 rupees. A dollar has changed from 45 to 85. I don't know how we are still making it work. It's a big question mark.
I see a lot of struggle in the industry. Yeah. I see day in, day out. Yeah. And that reflects in the kind of product pricing demand that we get, it's not affordable, it doesn't sit into our projections. Yeah. And we see that a lot. Yeah. And I would love to see basically people understanding and valuing the value of training or a trainer. It's high time that these are elevated. I'm sure with projects that you are bringing to the fore, and India is going to experience, and they pay for basically what kind of effort that has been put in terms of both the value that is being offered, the kind of quality standards that are being planned to put in.
Yeah. See, real estate owners have woken up to it. They've said that if we today have a multifamily setup, people are only going to buy a multifamily asset if they very clearly have a good clubhouse, which actually meets the modern needs of sport, fitness, recovery, and give them certain more amenities
also the aspirations of the traveling community, which have seen the world now. They expect that
whether you travel or not, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook puts everything right in front of you. It'll be right in front of you in 1 minute.
Absolutely.
So if you spend 1 hour scrolling, you see what's happening. Your entire kaleidoscope of your world is in your hand. The other is, even corporate office developers have realized that, hold on, why would somebody lease space from me for employees to have not just a job but a career, and why would they stay with the employer if that office is not where you can work well, play well, and also have other activities, allied activities? Because we travel once to work, our rapid transport is always going to be a challenge, traffic is always going to be a challenge. So if you leave home once, you want to find many things at the same place rather than go to many places for different things.
This is what we're experiencing in Pune as well. Each area has become its own ecosystem. Everything is provided for within the shopping to fitness to medical needs. Everything has to be in one area. People have stopped traveling more than 4 or 5 kilometers for accessing any kind of services. Yeah. Which means that traffic is becoming one of the big bottlenecks that is causing that particular trend of development to happen.
Yeah, see, we don't take our mass transport system is still not well penetrated into metros, tier 1, tier 2. Secondly, it doesn't have connectivity. It's in early stages. Of course, 10 years from now, it will be a different story, or 12 years from now. But that's a long time in the lives of somebody who's 35 or 45. Because they know that they need to do something now. So they are taking look, anybody showing up at a club after 30 minutes traffic one way, please salute them. Takes a lot to do that. And to do that 12 times a month, man, give them a hug. Be glad they're showing up. That anybody showing up and putting in that effort.
That shows level of commitment as well.
Absolutely.
With all the barriers and all the...
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's where it is.
So post Fitness First and COVID, I hear you have started something in longevity and biohacking.
Yeah, so it was quite an interesting journey. I've always been looking at health span, lifespan. And when you really look at it, while people's lifespans are changing, so all demographics show that lifespans are changing. Health span was, there was a very big drop that happens from the age of 50 and 60. And that kind of led the curiosity into what's really happening in the biohacking space. What are people doing to their external environment to affect their internal environment? And there kind of with a friend came up with, who had actually, he's a practitioner himself. He'd gone very far in the journey of putting a center together. And then I got involved with him in further, I would say, ideating and further optimizing that center and creating a very clearly defined proposition. It's known as Be Superhuman. There are two clinics in London, and eventually we will open in Gurgaon and in Hyderabad, etc. It basically is a place for people who fully understand that they are putting in a lot of time and effort, either because of a hectic life schedule or their physicality or their sport. MMA boxers, fighters, boxers, professional athletes, Olympians, people who train a lot, people who do a lot of extreme sports, that I need to recover. So you can't make yourself live longer, but you can definitely change the way you live for however long you're going to live. Yes, there is an incremental benefit of certain practices. That's where came in Be Superhuman as a concept, which provides you with a very clear proposition of an intervention in your deficiencies at a nutrition level with drips, and specially formulated bespoke drips for yourself. Managing your recovery through managing inflammation with different forms of modalities, from cryo and red light, and compression and percussion, including physios helping you realign your body post a lot of activity. And then of course your cellular regeneration through HBOTs. So the combination of those and a protocol around those is what the core proposition of Be Superhuman is, plus transformation. Means a lot of people are saying, okay, I know I haven't been active. I very clearly have an ideal physical silhouette and an internal health silhouette, and I need to get there quickly because I really want it. You can't get it like you buy a bag or a shoe or a watch. It's not like that. There's a process to it. That transformation shouldn't be laden with mistakes and injuries. So how do you transform yourself in the most effective way, the most durable way, and most importantly, everybody wants it very quickly, in the quickest way possible, as long as it's safe, simple to absorb, safe, and you can recover from it. So it has a transformation suite also to it, where different technologies are used, including EMS. So the combination of that is basically a biohacking stroke, high performance stroke, health optimization center, and it has a tremendous potential. What started off as an idea of putting different things together has become a clearly defined proposition, a brand. It's also an epicenter of a lot of practitioners of biohacking that come together twice a year. I think the next get-together is happening in a few weeks. The last one was very successful. About 110 practitioners showed up, and from all over the world.
This is organized in London?
Yeah, in Upminster. So it has a lot of legs, and it's going to go many places.
Why London?
It's my co-founder and partner in this lives there. He is a practitioner. He already had put some bits of it together. So that was the starting point. Also, people live a high performance life there a little bit sooner than other markets. It's now happening in other markets. You've seen the advent and the distribution of ice baths now all over India. Everybody is talking about ice baths and cold plunge, and it's become very topical.
It's become a trend to
cold shock therapy.
As well,
cold shock therapy has become a huge thing. So all that was already there, but the whole thing around breath work, self-myofascial release, cold plunge, managing inflammation through cryos and all that has become very, very lifestyle oriented there. Here it's still sitting in the cosmetic space. It's more beauty. It needs to go into mainstream, and it's going to happen very soon.
Sure, the learnings from there can quickly be implemented in India.
Well, DriveFITT offers you sport, fitness, and recovery. The recovery aspect of it completely focuses on if you train hard and play hard, you also need to recover quick.
If you don't recover, basically it's big trouble basically that you're calling yourself into.
Look, everybody today is measuring their sleep. Whereas there was a time when we said, I'll sleep when I die.
Personally, I've experienced lack of sleep can cause havoc. Stress built up.
Absolutely, and many other issues. Many other issues.
Absolutely, and ever since I have become very, very mindful of my sleep cycle, everything is gone.
If you want to look good, you have to feel good. There is no shortcut in it. No matter how expensive the clothes you wear, how you feel inside, there is no shortcut to it.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, you can't buy that. You have to invest time and effort into that.
You have to invest time in sleep as well.
And so when you invest time, that's the time that you have to take away from being up late at night, not waking up early. The right habits have to be created. So there's a huge potential. The good thing is people are now realizing that there's a lot of efficacy for what earlier were just considered as taglines. So that's where it's headed.
I'm glad you mentioned breathworks basically. We as a company have realized this long back as well. We brought in products like Air Energy and AeroFit to India. AeroFit you will see in all social media, being sold at all major websites. Huge demand that has got created, and people have realized the effect of that product. We're doing everything that is needed for exercising all your whole body parts. What about muscles of breathing? What do you do about that? We have a simple device, a connected smart device that works with your phone with amazing training programs designed by some of the best experts in the world, which trains your breathing muscles, both intercostal, which is for breathing in, and intercostals for diaphragm for breathing in, and intercostals for breathing out. And then we train your lung capacity to increase so that better oxygen absorption is there, VO2 max increases. Overall adds longevity in real time to your life.
Vasodilation and vasoconstriction is very important.
The energy levels, with only 10 minutes of commitment of exercise every day, you get amazing benefits of longevity, as well as daily more energies basically that is available at your disposal to do things basically that you were feeling short on.
I think there will be a huge breaking of barriers when people get more aware of availability, efficacy, and a lot of people start talking about how they've benefited from it. So it's only a matter of time. I think we're at that tipping point in India where all these things will become mainstream. Luckily, we always do what Bollywood shows us or what cricket is doing. So we will very quickly be there.
I'll quote a small example. A person I met in Hyderabad, very big businessman, no dearth of what he can access with everything that he has. But in terms of health, an asthmatic, and when we went to his home for meeting, he couldn't walk from his room to living room, and he was panting heavily. We gave him these two technologies to train. In 3 months, he was preparing to run for marathon. That's the power of breathing and training right.
See, the lack of awareness of solutions is the big thing. And the unfortunate thing is a lot of people are very dismissive of a lot of technology. They're like, if I don't know about it, it can't be good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of education that has to happen at all tiers of our society for us to become we're nowhere near a blue zone country, but how to become a blue zone country.
We're very far from blue zone. Eating habits to the kind of stress that is around us. It's going to be very difficult unless you go into Himalayas.
But the changes are happening. Changes are happening. Anyway, nice talking to you.
It's absolute pleasure.
It's so
thank
good to
you
be
so
here.
much for coming over.
No, thank you for showing me around. It's been great.
Yeah, absolute. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.